Hi, it's Joeyreynolds on Joan Rivers, going to a bigger stage. She's playing the main room now, and I love Joan, and I think the greatest thing to say about her now on the anniversary of her passing is that we teach our children, and she passed it on to her daughter Melissa, who's doing the fashion police now and doing a great job. I mean, really, she's making it work. She learned from her mother, learned very well. It's got nothing to do with the money or the fame. It has everything to do with the genes and how you have been raised. With all the tragedy that was in Joan's life. Although she made comedy out of everything. She was just the best. Let me tell you about her a little bit. I worked with Joan. I followed her on the air on WOR in New York on the radio. She decided to do a radio show. She had a lot of writers and people around her. One day I came into the station, and her producer Marilyn had bandages all over her face, which Joan always had on her face because she was always doing the surgery. And then I look in, and there's Joan with some bandages, and I said to them as I walked in, "Show me the dog. I want to see if the dog had surgery done. Did he shed?" She shed. It's a she dog. But Joan was always a good sport with everything, and I had a friend in common with her over at Bergdorf Goodman, big expensive department store, because Joan was very fashionable, and I'm dressing like this in her honor, although I should wear a suit and tie, but not in Florida. So Joan had left behind, when she was doing her show, all of her comedy stuff. She had writers, and they put the stuff in the wastebasket. So I'd go on the air at midnight, and I'd pick the stuff out of the wastebasket and start doing her material. I would do whatever Joan had done for the first hour of my show, and I got away with it for a long time, until one day one of the people from Bergdorf Goodman, her dresser, the woman who dressed her, said, "Hey, you know what? This Joeyreynolds is doing all the same jokes." Well, she got on to me then, and of course, Joan took me aside and said, "Hey, wait a minute, I pay a lot of money for this material. You're going to be using it?" I said, "Well, I get a different audience." She said, "Bull crap, just get rid of it. You're using my stuff." So she stopped putting it in the trash, and we shared the same trash can. It's a good thing I didn't start wearing her clothes. But she started going on QVC, and she was selling her jewelry, and I had my cheesecake, and Joan said, "You ought to sell your cheesecake." I says, "I don't know. The cheesecake, when you go on QVC, you got to have about 10,000 items in inventory, because they might sell them all, or they might not, but you have to have them for the public. So what are you going to do with 10,000 cheesecakes without a freezer? They're not frozen." So I gave her, I started freezing them, and she ate one and said, "Oh my God," she said, "you could feed this to an Eskimo. She eating my frozen cheesecake." She was great. In real life, I'm telling you, in real life, I mean, Joan was just a wonderful person. And I remember Chester Darling used to write for her years ago in Connecticut. When I was just on the radio back then, I didn't know her at all. And she was just struggling. She hadn't made the Tonight Show yet. But she had a great way of attracting people who were funny. And they wanted to be around her because she was great at delivery. And also, she was a big fan of everybody who was funny. She had a great heart and great delivery. And who wouldn't want to work with her, right? So Chester he would write some material for her that was just unbelievable. And he made her even funnier. But I'll tell you about Gary Owens. One day Joan was booked in L.A., and Joan was late for the appearance. It was a banquet. And there's we're in the ballroom of the, I forget what hotel it was. I think it was the Americana or something. I forget what hotel. Anyway, we were sitting there waiting for Joan, and Gary Owens had his tuxedo on, and he said, he pointed to the chandelier on top of the dining room, and he said, "That's Elizabeth Taylor's IUD." Joan loved that joke, loved it. She says, "I heard that," when she came out there. She says, "I heard that. You're not going to say that about me." But we're all in good spirits with Joan, and we'll never forget her. I mean, she was just the best. And I even like her emceeing the Oscars. I thought she was the female Johnny Carson, as it were. Anyway, that's it. With great respect for the family and for Melissa. God, I think, is being highly amused by Joan, and not